the touch points that people have is that it is an investment, and just make sure that you're hiring the right person, the right people to manage that investment for you.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Skills that you could work in any marketing agency for a big corporation. They can pay you a lot of money, and you're gonna be fine. Why jumping into the uncertain? I know. I would just want to hear from you.
You know,
why
like
do
I
you
do,
jump
Harry.
into the uncertainty to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think in you know as well as anybody, it is very much we have something in us that just makes us want to do like we see a bigger picture, we see maybe a better way to do something. We want to be challenged every day. We want to build our own thing. Like there's just that fire in us that, you know, I'm working for the same person. I'm just not wired to do the same thing every day. Although it's different. You know, I like achieving things. I like those mountains. I like testing
From
myself.
where you think it came? Do you have any member of your family as an entrepreneur? Do you read any book? Do you have any friend? Where do you think that this? I know I agree with you 100%. We have it within ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
But any external factor that you think that can also maybe like regardless that we have it within ourselves. Sometimes you know this sometimes you have that friend, you have that book, you have this family member that is like fuel that so who was in your case, if it was any? Yeah.
You know what? I do. No one's ever asked me this question. It's such a great question. And as you're asking this, I was going back and I was getting memories. Okay, where did this start? And it's such a really awesome question. And again, it made me kind of go a little bit deeper and think about where it started. And the answer is actually my grandparents. We used to live out in the country, and we used to live on a farm. And I think part of it of being an entrepreneur is there is, you know, when, you know, we did all the farming stuff. So, you know, tend the fields, but also you do all the canning, and you do everything to, you know, by hand and, you know, by yourself, because farming is a very kind of solo sort of you're your own
entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur kind of thing. Yeah.
And there is such satisfaction in the reward of like at the end of the season, as you're picking carrots from the ground, eating those carrots. Like there's such like, oh, I made this, I did this, and there's such a
I produced something, right?
Yeah, you did. And there's such acknowledgement of reward and that feeling of like I did something. Yeah, and it's kind of like, wow, you know, with effort and hard work, here's the outcome for that. So I think if you really go back really far to those roots, that's kind of where the entrepreneur started, is getting that reward, that satisfaction of creating and building and making something, you know, from scratch. And I think that's really where it started. But then both my mom and my dad were very opposite. My dad being very engineer, like he was very mechanical, like he was a tool and die guy, and then a mechanic, and then he was doing robotics. So he was very much the builder, the engineer, you know, the math and sciences kind of side of the family. And then my mom was the opposite, with being like, she is incredibly artistic, you know, and that's sort of like anything, you know, anything. So
creative,
being both of those and seeing that. But also, you know, we talk about what got me into this career is like I always knew I wanted to be creative, but I felt the marketing industry was the I could be most expressive in that, or use everything, you know, because I was thinking about architecture, but not many architects get to kind of create the buildings they really want to ever create, or there's a lot of industries where they don't get to kind of really use their creativity as much as they possibly can. So this for me was one of those industries where I could keep on testing and playing with things and
if you're doing marketing, right? You have to be very, very creative, because we come different type of clients, and you have to be very, very creative in order to get them more clients, and there is something. I'm a creator as well. There is a problem
Yeah.
with us, with the creator. The creator never stopped to create. You know who was a creator also? Walt Disney. I hear that
Yeah.
he was
Yep.
in debt,
Hmm.
and still the guy is drawing and drawing. And when he was in debt, everything was about to collapse. He drew Mickey Mouse, and then
Yeah. Yep.
and that completely different story from there.
Well,
So what
it
happened is that
was his.
the creator never
Yeah.
stopped to create. When we hiring people in our company. Lily, my girlfriend, she's also a creator. Yeah.
Yep.
So we also tell our team, look, we need doers. We don't need no more people with ideas in the company because
Yep.
we got
And that's.
those, we got
Yep.
plenty. With Lily and I, we never stop to create. Every time we're creating something, our team sometimes they cannot cope. We haven't finished one website and now they. So we
Yeah.
create a lot. So how you manage to from creator to creator, yeah? How you manage to allow to surround yourself with your team in order to make
Yeah.
sure that it's balanced, because I can guarantee you that with
Yeah.
that with more than one creator in the organization, it's difficult because everybody creating, so who's gonna do it, right?
Yeah. Here's and again, that going back to the kind of my history of that being, the farming of the aspect of like you still have to put in the work as creative as you want to, you still have to put into work. And
100%.
also, if you think about, with the engineering side, the balance of the engineering and creative side of my mom, my father, the mechanical, is that engineering, really great things. Like you look at, like Leonardo da Vinci, as much as he was drawing and everything else, he was also thinking in a real way, the mechanical way, how things actually work. And as creative as you want, it still has to mechanically or thoughtfully work. And I think that also for me, I had this one boss that told me, he's like, you're a creative person, but with a business mind, because as part of the success I've had is because it's not just about being creative, but it has to be functional. Like it has to work for a purpose. And that's even the partners and around me, we can be as creative as we want and do these beautiful things, but if they don't, this is one of my blind spot starting out very early, because we would come up with these most beautiful creative ideas, sometimes very expensive to execute, but it had
Mm-hmm.
no strategy, had no, as nice as
Mm-hmm.
it was, it didn't really do what, there was no purpose. There was nothing to, it didn't do anything, and the clients are like, okay, where's hey, where's all my clients? Where's all the business? And you're like, but the ads are beautiful, but this is beautiful. But, it didn't really mechanically work the way it should. It didn't actually drive business. There was no underlying mechanics to do that. So that for me was, I had a client that it happened to, and I learned that lesson from it can't just be creative without having functionality of actually doing something. And that's kind of really, really, really important. We all own things too that look beautiful, but they don't really work all that well. And that's kind of so that for me is that balance. I bring that in all aspects of life, and as creative as you can be, you also needs to show that. And I think if I can even, for your listeners, is that even when you look at marketing people's portfolios and everything else, even though you see all these beautiful creative pieces and websites, and they talk about the awards that they've won, which I also have an issue with, because awards don't equal return on investment for clients. That's, bluntly, as many, design awards and everything else. I just they don't actually show the success of a campaign or how successful it was. It could be really creative, but doesn't show, what the return on investment was for the client. So in that, I always ask, how did your creative perform in the marketplace? And that's one of the biggest questions I would ask people. Like when you're hiring somebody, ask them what was the outcome of that. Like you would say, from your experience with this billboard in this really, hey, it was, it was great and everything else, but the return on investment was, next to zero because
Disaster.
of where it was. So I would always say it's great that you've got billboards up and you've done all this really great creative stuff, but what was the return on investment for the business in any aspect? So don't be afraid to ask. Again, if you assume that all of these were successful in their own way, then you're just gonna get more of the same. So I come from a very business, entrepreneurial sort of mind frame as well. Like on the farm and living in that way, every dollar has to count as well. So, don't overspend, like spend on the, when you have to or when you need to, but be thoughtful of how you spend it, and yeah, it's kind of it's one of those key things. And that's something I'd sort of stress to people, like find marketing is an investment in your business. It's not just something that makes it look good. And I would say marketing, branding, all the things that surround sort of the touch points that people have, is that it is an investment, and just make sure that you're hiring the right person, the right people to manage that investment for you.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.